logistics is not an easy business. Everything that could go wrong will eventually go wrong.
Every Amazon seller, the main thing is for them to try to flip that product as many times within a month.
Whatever affects them in the Amazon world also affects us, as carriers.
So, for all those that don't speak English, envían más de 3,200 pallets por mes a Amazon.
I think anybody that's been in the Amazon game or has been selling on Amazon, I think where they've gotten the most value and where they've learned the most is from some of the mistakes that they've made.
Today we have a little bit of a different podcast. We're talking about Amazon, but not Amazon sales. We're talking about the logistical side of Amazon, which every day it gets harder and harder. They just make it harder.
Yeah.
But you guys make it easy, so I appreciate that, and the community also as well here in Miami and Florida. It's also going to be an English podcast. We're going to try to keep it bilingual so that our audience understands. But if not, we're going to have subtitles as well. And if you're an English listener, welcome. Thank you. Brian, Chris, thank you for coming and being in Entre Cajas. I appreciate it. Brian, you founded C Group a couple years ago. Chris, you're the COO. Who is C Group and what do you guys do?
So pretty much we're Amazon sellers. It's me and 4 brothers. We've been Amazon sellers since 2014, and about maybe 5 years ago, we're starting building enough volume to where we're shipping truckloads. Got with a freight broker, trying to get the product there faster. Every Amazon seller, the main thing is for them to try to flip that product as many times within a month. Down here in Florida, Amazon does not give us that availability. So when we ship through Amazon Partner Carrier, AAA Cooper, usually it'll take about 14 to 21 days for an Amazon seller down here to get their product up there.
It's quite horrible.
Yes. So we decided to buy our own trucks. We started to learn the flow of Amazon. And as we started to see our products getting received in faster, we started to think this service could be provided to all the Amazon sellers down in this Florida area because we all have the common problem of that inventory turnaround.
Of course.
And especially for small mom and pop shops to even big brands, they still need to flip that product faster.
I mean, that's how you make the money, right? If you turn the cash as many times as possible per year, that's where the money is at. But you only think about that when you're starting to get larger and you're starting to see more data. It's like, all right, how do I make my cash come back faster so I can reinvest it? I remember clearly in 2017, 2018, which is when we started doing our first palletized shipments to Amazon. They were a bit faster. Then every time they got slower. And then in 2019, 2020, I saw the first Amazon Freight pick up an LTL shipment. And I was like, holy shit, it took 2 days to arrive to Amazon. And that's when I went, whoa, waiting 2 to 3 weeks is not normal. And that's when we started looking for answers. And eventually we found you guys, which, I mean, you know what you're doing in that sense. Yeah. So but you say you're Amazon sellers. Did you start selling on Amazon yourself, or was it your brother's? Because I've met your brother before.
Yeah.
And he is, if I'm not mistaken, the lead, the one that manages the Amazon business itself. And from my understanding, you got into the Amazon business directly into the logistical aspect of it, or were you in the Amazon business before as well?
You're correct. So my brother Chris, he is the one that he has the Amazon account. He's the one that runs everything. I was always his right hand to handle all of the logistics and operations aspect of it. So we are always side by side and pretty much, complementing each other's avenues. So my primary focus has always been the past probably 14 to 15 years is logistics. And throughout that time, I've learned how to learn the language of freight brokering and transportation and dealing with drivers and deliveries and that type of aspect.
And your dad, did he work in the logistics business before?
My dad was a trucker for about 19 years, but he was delivering for like Rooms to Go, local deliveries. So when we got our first truck,
He was the first CDL driver you got.
correct. We keep it in the family,
That's awesome. It's family business.
Yep.
Chris, when did you join C Group? Was it when they were selling on Amazon, or was it when C Group actually started?
No, so when they had the Amazon accounts and they're mainly managing that, it was about 8 years ago when I started with them.
Okay.
I was in the university. I needed some type of flexible job to where I could work, whatever hours I kind of needed. It's crazy to see, what came from everything. Because when I started with them, I was going to their house. We were packing out of the garage. We were sending, FedEx boxes, UPS ground boxes. We were filling the truck, driving to the post office or those centers, and one by one, hand offloading and getting those shipments out. So that's pretty much where I started. And then as the business began to scale, I graduated, I got my degree. And it looked like a perfect opportunity for me to, jump in the business with them. And yeah, I've been involved with them from the very beginning, from the very start. So
That's
I'm very grateful, fortunate.
Yeah, for sure. Especially seeing that grow in a startup, right? Because when you're starting out in a garage and you grow to the level where you're at right now, I don't know how many square foot you got.
We
At the
got
moment?
21,000 square feet currently.
From a garage,
From a garage.
21,000 square foot. Seeing all the trucks you ship out on a day-to-day basis, it's got to be crazy to be part of that growth, and not only see the growth of the business, but also the personal growth that's involved in that process. Not only of you, but also all the members that have been a part of that growth. That's quite awesome. That's awesome. How many pallets are you shipping out per month right now? You know?
Per month, we are averaging anywhere from 3,700 pallets to 4,200 pallets. That's in and out. I'll say off of our end, it's probably 500 pallets, maybe.
Yeah,
That's
5 to
awesome.
6. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, for all those that don't speak English, envían más de 3,200 pallets por mes a Amazon. That's an average of 100 pallets per day. That's at least 4 truckloads a day.
4 to 5 truckloads probably per day.
That's quite insane.
Yes.
That's awesome.
It was easy for us to grab the customer and the consumer down here because everyone's problem, we're just a great solution because we're able to help that customer that has 1, 2 pallets. And we pick up from storage units, we pick up from garages.
You make it easy.
Yeah, we work with people that just started. We also self-educate them as well.
Yeah, I've seen that. Chris is.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, and I think that's a little bit of what separates us from other carriers and just like the competition that's out there is we were Amazon sellers ourselves. We understand the business and we know what exactly an Amazon seller is looking for in a partner in the transportation side.
So walk me through the process. I am an Amazon seller that's starting out. I just got into selling on Amazon. I've been shipping boxes. Now I got to make my first pallet size shipment from Florida. Unfortunately, you guys are not in the entire United States. That would be great because I have a lot of people that text me from California, Houston, New York, everywhere, and they're like, "All right, how do I do this?" Like with C Group, I don't know.
For those people, we're working on it.
Okay.
We're looking to open a couple cross docks across the United States. We got some partners in California, actually.
Awesome.
Some other partners in New York, New Jersey that are willing to work with us that in the near future we will be able to expand and
I mean,
start to grab
that would be amazing because, to be honest, we ourselves, we purchase a lot of goods from California, from New York. It's not necessarily worth it to ship to Miami and then ship to Amazon. We could just have a prep center and use you guys to ship it.
Yep.
But in the meantime, we don't have that option. So let me know when it's there. And if I'm that seller that's just starting out, I'm in Miami, I'm in Orlando, I want to make my first pallet size shipment. I see that I could do Amazon freight, Amazon partner carrier. But I've heard of C Group. I don't know much about C Group. What's the process? And then of contacting you and then shipping. What could I
So-
expect?
The first thing I would say to a seller that is primarily shipping ground and is looking to start to palletize their stuff and ship it out, the one main thing to keep in mind is that you're going to be able to get a lot more for your cost as far as shipping a pallet versus shipping ground. Once you accumulate, I would say a little over 5 boxes, it starts to begin to make sense to ship a pallet instead.
Yeah.
Typically, depending on where the boxes are going, it can range anywhere between $15 to $25 a box. Once you get to 4, 5, 6 boxes,
That's 100, 150 bucks.
150 bucks. We work with flat rates on our pallets, which is great. Something also that separates us from the competition. The market for logistics and transportation is always going up, going down. For us, we like to keep it, a little
As
straightforward
consistent
and
as possible.
easy. Yeah, for our customers. So we work with flat rates. What I would, give to that client as a suggestion is once you accumulate over 5 boxes, it'll make more sense to put it on a pallet. The idea is to always try to maximize that pallet. Amazon's rule is 1,500 pounds, 6 feet, 72 inches of height. The idea is to put as much product on that pallet as you possibly can to get the most for your shipment.
Correct.
And then as far as getting started with us, you would reach out to us. We have onboarding specialists with our team. They'll kind of walk you through the process, kind of explain everything that goes on with our service. They'll create a client portal for you. Client portal is super user friendly. It also has live tracking on there. If you've got a team that's helps with the process as far as data entry, things like that, you're able to add up to 20 users on the platform. The first step is preparing the shipment. Then after that, you would go onto your client portal. You would put your pickup, schedule your pickup. The next steps, we would pick up your merchandise and then deliver it to Amazon's facilities.
Awesome. That's awesome. I mean, it sounds quite simple. And from my understanding, it obviously depends on the volume you're managing, but I don't know, let's just call it North Carolina right now. Obviously, prices are changing. The market's quite crazy right now. But one pallet if I'm shipping 1 or 2 pallets to CLT2, how much could that cost me? Under 50 bucks? I'm not sure.
Between $150 to $300.
Depending?
Yeah, depending.
Okay.
The way we work is we reduce your rates depending on volume. So we have different tiers. 1 to 4 pallets is X amount. 5 to 10 pallets is X amount. And then once you start getting into the truckload quantities, it's special pricing for those specific customers.
Awesome. Thank you for treating us with special pricing too.
Definitely.
So awesome. I mean, it's pretty simple. Not too much there. Just contact Chris and then
Yes.
ship your pallets. That's as much as it goes. But Amazon is also making it difficult for people nowadays. They're shipping pallets everywhere. They're splitting it however they want. They don't necessarily make sense. You see the split shipments and they're like sending it to places like this. I don't know why they're doing it, but then you also know why they're doing it. They're just trying to make more money. How do we navigate through these scenarios? Because it's been challenging for us, at least. What we're doing is previously we were using 2D workflow. Before 2D workflow, before this whole chaos with the inbound placement fee started, we were using Settler Cloud for shipments. With Settler Cloud, it would allow us to consolidate shipments super easy. It was working beautifully. It did not delete shipments in the back end. It was just API compliant, Amazon compliant. Everything was good. Then come inbound placement fees. Boom, it stops working. 2D workflow found a solution that then we received an email from Amazon saying, hey, we're going to charge you for every single shipment that you cancel, which is not new. They've been doing it for a long time. It's just now they enforced it. How are you and your clients mitigating those costs and managing it? We're paying the inbound placement fees. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, so since we typically specialize in Amazon freight, what I stress to the customers and I tell them too as well, something that they need to understand is that whatever affects them in the Amazon world also affects us, as carriers. We're always looking because our success is heavily dependent on our client's success. So if we're providing the service that's a solution for them, that's going to help them grow, it in turn helps us grow. So that's something that I'm always, expressing to the customers and the clients. We have, a good community of sellers where I think that's key for anybody that's selling on Amazon, to have that community to bounce back ideas, to try to find solutions or even avoid problems as you're operating your business. prior to this whole change, we had a solution that thankfully we already started dabbling with doing some of that stuff, which is LTL consolidation, which is being able to redirect shipments from one destination to another destination. That's something that we have an ability to do as carriers. And since we had already started to do a little bit of it, it was a lot easier to kind of start to offer it, to our existing customers once all these changes, started to happen.
Which this ability that you're talking about of consolidating the shipments to different locations, and I'm gonna get back to you, Brian, with some questions. Uh, I know Chris is the mind behind the consolidation and all this. Um, it's only an ability that Amazon Freight is offering, right? It's not something that as carriers or anyone could do. Like if you're shipping LTL um, with your Amazon partner carrier, you can't consolidate. Or how does it work? Is it only Amazon Freight or
No, it's not only Amazon Freight. Like Brian said, we've been in the business for years, and we've been
yeah?
shipping truckloads for a very long time. So we've had the ability, and we've been fortunate enough to be able to establish good relationships. With Amazon's inbound team, with the carrier reps, with the Amazon Freight reps, to where it's opened up a couple avenues for us. So Amazon Freight does provide a similar solution. And then on the carrier side, there's different avenues that you're able to kind of go to also provide that same exact solution. So Amazon Freight isn't the only one
Okay.
that's able to provide it. There's a couple different avenues there.
So there's a couple groups that we work with Amazon Freight every
Yeah.
now and then, and they provided us a graph of groups of
3 or 4
warehouses.
groups.
Yeah, 3 or 4 groups. That if a warehouse belongs to that group, then you get like, for example, what's the one in New Jersey? OB.
ABE8,
Yeah, so that one. And CLT2, I believe they're in the same group.
same group, yeah.
So if it's shipping to New Jersey, I could tell Amazon or I could tell you, Chris, hey, I don't want to ship to ABE8. I want to ship to CLT2. But it has to belong to the same group. If it's on a different group, I don't know, let's just call it in the West Coast or Vegas, I can't consolidate. Is that true? Or, I mean, is that typically how, I know you figure out ways to do it, but
Yes.
typically speaking, that's the reality of it.
Yeah.
That is with Amazon Freight. We use Amazon Freight as well, but we
Yeah,
also
yeah.
have our own fleet of trucks. Um, we do probably about 40% of our loads that go outbound. We use Amazon Freight,
Okay.
and we do that because they're a good partner to have, and it's good to have more points of contact in there. But it's good to also have our own fleet and use contracted trucks outside of Amazon, just because it gives some customers more. They feel better because they've had bad experiences with Amazon Freight.
Well, I've had a terrible one. I'll
Yes.
get to that soon. But
And even us, not everything is always perfect. With Amazon Freight, we have had experiences, but I'm very fortunate between the connections there and the connections on our carrier side, we're able to address it and get it handled faster than probably most companies. They limit it to only those. We have a special niche that
Okay.
we could redirect anything. How we're able to do that is just what separates us from everyone else.
the contacts.
Yes, the contacts. But it's just so happened, like Valdez said, we started redirecting back in like October of last year. So we had got our feet wet. We already were dabbling into it, not knowing that these changes were going to happen. And when these changes happened, it just so happened we had already our foot in the door.
Yeah, you already had the processes set up
Formulas.
inside to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So a lot of customers they like, how can you do this? I'm using Amazon Freight. Why can't why can't I do this? They also ask the Amazon Freight rep. Like my rep tells me on his sales calls that the other reps are like, how is this customer that was my customer is now shipping through C Group? What are you doing different than these other people? It's just, and he says they're just doing a good job, but it's hard for someone to comprehend because you think because you're going with Amazon Freight, how could someone else have a little bit more pull or wiggle room or maneuvering than an Amazon employee? And that just shows the character of how we are able to establish our relationships
Well,
and
you've
build.
also got one of the best Amazon reps there are
Yes.
On the Amazon Freight team.
Yes.
He's a legend.
Yes, you had him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He is great, and he is probably one of the biggest assets and that we have because he is 100% for his clients.
100%, 100%. And
Whatever he,
he's all in with the big clients. He wants to go. He wants to work. He wants to get his hands dirty. The story we had with Amazon Freight was last year. We had a truck lost for I think 3 months,
no,
and it had 250K worth of inventory in there. Crazy story. It happens to be. It was a shipment to CLT2, so we were shipping to North Carolina, and then from CLT2, they checked it in as empty, and then they also checked it in as damaged. So they sent it to a repair shop in Atlanta
fully
and
loaded.
fully loaded. How? I don't know. And then 3 months later, he so happens to find the truck in a repair shop in Atlanta, gets it back to CLT2, checked in, and all the goods were there, thankfully. But it's crazy. I
Yeah.
mean, how does that even happen? It doesn't make sense. From your face, it's happened to you before. The
Same
checked in
exact
that's empty.
concept, yeah. CLT2, and they took it to an ATL 2 or 6, and it took about 10 days of an enormous amount of
Back and forth.
yes to get it done, but it got handled.
One of the things that I think people don't understand is the reality of logistics. It sounds sexy, but it's so fucking hard.
Yes.
It's incredibly hard, and everything in logistics that you could think of going wrong will eventually go wrong. So, if you're shipping a couple of trucks per year, a couple pallets here and there, you might get lucky and nothing happens to you ever. But then, when you're managing the volume that you're managing, at some point, you're gonna have a truck crash. At some point, you're gonna have
Yeah, accidents.
a lot of things going wrong. So that's something that I admire a lot of you guys and being able to manage all of this because it's not easy. It's not easy. I don't know if you have any crazy anecdotes that's happened in the past and how you like solved them because I know you're all for the clients as well.
Yes, I think the biggest one was that CLT2 situation that we also had, that the trailer was gone for about 10 days. We haven't had no cargo or any damages in that type of aspect. And one of the things that we do stress to the bigger volume customers that do truckloads, what we try to express to them is, like you said, you had $250,000 in one trailer. God forbid something happens to that one trailer full of everything, you're out $250,000 during the duration.
Insurance and
Yes.
everything, yeah.
Versus we could pick up the truckload, and since we have so many outbound loads, we could throw 5 pallets in there, 5 pallets in there, 5 pallets in there. God forbid,
Yeah.
makes the risk less. Of
course.
if something happens.
Can different trucks ship the same
FBA,
FBA shipment ID?
yes. You're allowed up to 3 to 4 times using that FBA ID as long as you get it in within that 30-day window
Okay.
from the first time it
Very
checks in.
interesting. That's probably why the friend that referred your way used you guys because he was having some trouble with. He made a shipment of 36 pallets.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, 36 pallets don't fit in one truckload. So how do you get that in two? I was like, just talk to Seager. They got you. Yeah.
Another variable too to add on to what you guys are talking about as far as a trailer being lost or a trailer being dropped in a lot, waiting in line to get received in. Since we are moving our assets, our own trucks, we have something that's called a live offload, which is super beneficial for our customers. This means that when we get to the fulfillment center, they back us into a dock and we're offloaded live on the spot. The reason being is because our trucks have other pickups to do. They got to grab another load right after. So sometimes, Amazon prioritizes these third-party carriers before they even prioritize their own trucks. They feel like since it's an Amazon trailer, there's no rush. They can have it sit there. Let's get this other guy in and out. So that's something that's a huge asset for our customers is the live offloading. Whenever it comes to those peak seasons in Amazon, Christmas time, everybody's trying to send their product in. Everybody's trying to finish Q4 on a good note. That's where, having a a partner like us that's moving our own assets, our own trucks, kind of comes into play, where a lot of people will see delays in receiving, delays in their shipments arriving, where we still get that priority, when we get to those Amazon centers.
And you not only ship to CLT2, well, CLT2 used to be the main one. I don't know right now which is the main destination you guys got, but you also do hazmat, you do oversize, you do all the different locations. So that's also a huge asset that if you have a wide variety of products like we do, for example, we're not necessarily shipping a full truckload all the time because not all our products are standard size. We have oversized, we have hazmat, we have shoes, we have different products that need to be shipped, and maybe we have 5 pallets of this, 10 pallets of this, 3 of this. They're not going to the same location, but you have enough clients that you are shipping at least 1 truck a week for that location.
Yeah.
So it's super convenient and easy. And also we've had times, rush times, when we got the warehouse is full and we gotta get it out. It's like, hey Chris, can you pick up on Saturday? You pick up on Saturday, and you just make it easy. So that's quite awesome. I mean, I don't know. Besides us, I'm sure you have a lot of other clients that are as happy as we are, in that sense.
Yeah, and another thing, so having these relationships with the reps and those higher positions at Amazon, we're constantly getting information from them. So in your question, as far as like now we're shipping other locations, we've expanded a little bit and are changing it up. We're constantly changing our weekly routes, and this isn't for something for our benefit. This is always, almost everything we do is always for the customer and for our clients' benefit. Our rep and those contacts are constantly telling us when fulfillment centers are at capacity. One, you're able to tell when you're trying to make an appointment that it's starting to get pushed out. So week to week, from time to time, we're constantly changing the routes a little bit, again, to benefit the customers, to make sure that whatever fulfillment center we're changing the destination to is one that's going to get received in quick, processed quick, and you're going to have it available in your store.
That's all. Chris, do you continue to use Tuli workflow? I know you guys use it for prepping, but for consolidation and not to optimize the shipping, is this something that you continue to do or not? Not really.
We've kind of changed our game plan a little bit on the Amazon side, with the Amazon accounts, to where we're accepting the entire shipment plan, because Amazon
Five
is
different locations, six
five
different
different
locations.
locations. Exactly. The goal is always to try to get a pallet quantity to each location. We'll take care of it. C Group will take care of the changing of destinations. Typically, let's say you get 5 locations. It could be that 3 of the locations we're able to direct to one fulfillment center that's a lot more economic and a lot quicker as far as distance to deliver to, and then maybe the other 2 will go to another destination. Another variable that a lot of the customers and people that use 2D workflow also get is that when it does that 5 shipment split, maybe 2 locations is like 2-3 boxes,
Yeah.
to where it might not be feasible to ship it on a pallet. Thankfully, 2D Workflow has the flexibility that you're able to switch it from an LTL shipment to an SPD shipment. So you're able to send maybe those 2 locations ground, the other ones on a pallet. So that's pretty much how we're kind of navigating the changes with our accounts internally.
And for example, like it splits it everywhere.
Yeah.
It could go to the West Coast to I don't know, fucking Montana. It goes everywhere. How do you manage that? Is that because of the contacts and you're able to consolidate strategic locations, not necessarily in California? Is that somewhat how it's being managed?
Yeah. Yeah. So whenever they play by the regions, that's always the easiest, change to make as far as from one destination to the other. And then the other avenue we have might take a little bit longer, but it's always doable, and we
Okay.
always get it done.
Nice, nice. Brandon, when you guys starting a business, it's not easy. Never is. Obviously, you had volume already, since the beginning, and you also had a big pool of clients in Miami that didn't have the solution you are offering now. How do you manage the growth and the logistics in the beginning when you're not necessarily, yeah, when you're starting out, because you started a business from scratch?
Yes.
How does this work?
The Amazon side, that of course was just like any other business, a lot harder than us starting the logistics side. The logistics side was um, less few hurdles that we needed to overcome as we continue to grow. But one thing that I focused on in the very beginning was making sure we have certain softwares to deal with capacity that we weren't already getting from the customer base. But it was wanted to make sure the right infrastructure was there. So infrastructure was probably the key part, such as our customer portal, that Rose Rocket system. Without that, it would have probably made a lot of things harder. There's other softwares out there, and I checked out a few of them. But that Rose Rocket one was a key one to be able that we could sign up any customer. It stores, connects all the dots and everything. Even our truck routes run through there. So that software has made our life a lot easier. And then throughout the first couple months, us just pretty much the other little situations or things that popped up, we will fix it and we'll try to make sure to understand how it happened and how it should never happen again. So just like any other company, the first couple months you come across those obstacles. We just
It's logistics.
Yes, we just when we come across an obstacle, we discuss it at lengths, and we make sure it doesn't happen. And God forbid if it does happen, so the person who's running and overseeing that one
Yeah,
is accountable, and it should not happen after the second time.
of course, of course. When do you buy the first truck? Is it like from the get go or
We
later on?
we bought our trucks during the peak season of the market, so we bought our trucks high.
Okay.
Um,
In 2020 or
we bought it. Was it 2020?
2020, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
because you got brand new spank.
Yes, and then we bought
they're
new
nice.
ones,
Yeah.
and um, knowing what I know now, I'll go probably not so new.
Okay.
Probably like 150,000 miles I would take. The trucks we got were like 10,000 miles on there.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
When you buy a new truck, they tax on a 20% purchase for when you buy the tractors.
Wow.
If you buy a used one with 10,000 miles on it, you don't have to pay that 20%, and it's at least a little lower. But we still bought it when it was high. It was an experience. We wanted to continue to grow our fleet, so we first truck was the two Mac Anthems, and it's like getting a new car. We're all excited. I personally have gone to these Amazon centers, gone on the from here to Charlotte, from here to MEM2 in Bahia.
You've driven personally to
Not
them?
driven, but I've sat in the shotgun seat. My
Okay.
brother Chris has driven. He has a CDL license, and we go there because we like to learn all aspects, everything that from point A to point B of what that driver experiences. We have experience sleeping in the truck stops at Love Truck Stops, going to the guard shack in Amazon Center, the lines, the delays, and what a driver has to do with.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yes.
That's quite good. I mean, the empathy behind it, because obviously your partners are the carriers, and you want to be able to speak their same language and understand the procedures. So, and the logistical and day-to-day operations, like, yeah, I know that happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
We've gone on the road. Just because we own C Group doesn't mean we don't touch and do every aspect at some point of the company.
Yeah, of course. And the first trucks you bought, were they 53 footers or the local trucks that you used to pick up?
The first truck was a box truck, a 2019 Hino that we bought in Jersey, and we drove it down here because at that time you couldn't really find any box trucks for sale. It was very hard at that time.
Wow.
So we had to buy it all the way up there, fly up there, drive down. And then I think a year later, we got the 53 footers. And we got the 53 footers at that time. We're at a warehouse of 10,000 square feet, I think.
Yeah.
And we only had two bay doors, and we're in a corner. So it was a daily obstacle of us having to move cars, people in the parking lot navigating so the truck doesn't smack a car.
Yeah.
And then we learned never to go to a corner unit without an opening for a 53 footer.
Yeah, well, right now you're in a corner unit, but it's different.
Yes, it's meant for trucks to back
Correct.
in easily, pull out.
It has a dock. It has everything beautifully set up.
Yes.
It's very modern. It's new. It's quite nice. It would be Class A, right? I mean,
Yes.
yeah. That's,
And that warehouse is a great location. Like, we really have a personal attachment to that location.
I feel you. I
Was.
feel you. Same on this one. Like, for example, in this warehouse, well, we just got this new one, but we
Mm-hmm.
tried not to move because it's just located
perfectly.
Perfect. It's just amazing. We've got our home located very nearby. When we're coming to the warehouse, traffic's going the other way, and then we're going back home and traffic's going the other way. It's new, it's clean, it's just a nice area to be in, and the area you guys are in as well, it's quite nice. It's you breathe fresh air
Yeah.
when you go there, which is not easy in Miami. Miami is you could get it's hard. It's hard finding a good warehouse space. So.
Yeah, the warehouse we're in now is 7 bay doors, and then the warehouse next to us that's attached to the building is another 7. I'll say my goal for his lease ends at the end of next year. Hopefully, he doesn't renew it, and that will give us enough time. I'd like to have the whole entire building. I'll
That'd
say
be
in
awesome.
total it's probably about 45,000 square feet. And I think it's going to give us enough time from now to then to grow. And if Chris does, if he continues killing it out there and bringing in, new business, we should be able to break down that wall in the middle and get to the
That's
other side
awesome.
of that
'Cause,
warehouse.
I mean, let's talk about new projects. You got C Group Logistics, LTL shipments, full truckload shipments, making it easy for everyone in South Florida. Is it only South Florida, or you also pick up in Northern Florida?
So we actually, when it comes to FTL, we're able to service the entire United States. So from
Okay,
anywhere we could do FTL. As
FTL,
far as LTL in the state of Florida.
state of Florida.
Yeah.
So like Tallahassee, you could pick up there. Or?
Orlando, Tampa, Florida. I mean, Orlando, Tampa, Miami, Tallahassee. That's not even
It's a
Florida.
little too far. Practically, that's Georgia.
Jacksonville. We could do Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Along I-95.
Well, it's because it's in the same route
Yes,
going up
yeah.
there. Nice.
¿Quieres convertirte en tu propio jefe? Ah, esperabas que llegara con mi Lamborghini, ¿no? Este es mi Lamborghini. Vamos a hacer tu negocio exitoso en Amazon. Soy Ricardo Domínguez y llevo más de 8 años construyendo mi negocio en Amazon, actualmente vendiendo más de $2 millones mensuales. Mis estudiantes están viendo resultados reales y tú también puedes lograrlo. Con mi curso Ricardo CEO te enseñaré paso a paso cómo lanzar y crecer tu negocio en Amazon. Hablaremos de cómo establecer tu cuenta, cómo encontrar proveedores confiables, cómo gestionar tu inventario y muchísimo más. Todo en base a mi propia experiencia y estrategias comprobadas. Así que si estás listo para dar el salto y empezar tu negocio exitoso en Amazon, haz clic en el enlace y comienza hoy mismo.
So, 3PL, that's something you're getting into. Prep centers. You have all the logistical knowledge of shipping the goods. You also have the logistical knowledge of prepping the goods. You're quite large Amazon sellers. I don't think many people know this, but I believe you're easily doing over 2.5 million a month on Amazon,
Yeah.
at least
Yeah.
with the volume you guys manage. You have the expertise in prepping, which is essentially how you started in the LTL shipments.
Correct.
You had the expertise in shipping to Amazon and getting it there fast. What's this new service? Is it open? Did you start already, and why?
So the services that we're getting into offering now is 3PL services, so pick, pack, and ship, and then also storage services. Primarily, we started offering these services because a lot of our customers expressed the need for it. We deal with customers of all sizes as they begin to grow. Wherever it is that they're operating out of starts to become a little more difficult, whether they're operating in their house or in a small storage unit. As they scale, if they're doing things right, they're gonna run out of space. They're gonna feel congested to where if they're not at the level or at the place to then buy a warehouse or rent a warehouse, the next step would be to use a 3PL for those type of services. So primarily it started because of that. A lot of the customers expressed that fact. And we always, want to help the customer. So we started to provide that as a solution for them.
That's awesome.
That's pretty much how we got started.
One of the main concerns for Amazon sellers using a prep center is, especially in wholesale, not private label. If I use a prep center, they're gonna know who my supplier is, and also you guys being Amazon sellers, that's also a concern that a lot of people could possibly have in the beginning. Obviously, not everyone has that mentality, but is there anything you're doing to mitigate that concern with your clients?
Well, as far as we do a couple things on the transportation side for for customers that we're not even doing prep for, as far as blind shipments.
Picking up
So
from their suppliers.
picking up from their suppliers,
Delivering
delivering
it to them.
to a customer even of theirs, to where they ask for it. They say, hey, I need this to be a blind shipment. So we put it in a format in a way to where that information is never given to either the customer or vice versa, the supplier. So we do that for our customers, and then anybody that's concerned about them shipping us product and us seeing their product and seeing what they're selling, and then us going to then sell that same exact product. As far as our Amazon accounts, we've transitioned a little bit out of selling, the regular general goods that are on the marketplace. What we're doing is diving a little more into private label. So we have our own brands. And then aside from that, wholesale, which is something that we have customers that are buying from us, and then we're prepping those same goods and shipping it for them, to where that's more of the direction that we're going to. So we always, tell and let our customers know that that's really the direction we're heading at. As far as
The direction you're going is serving
yeah, exactly.
the Amazon sellers.
Yeah,
You don't necessarily want to be the Amazon seller. You want to
100%.
serve the Amazon seller.
yeah, yeah.
Make it
to
easy.
me, there's a lot more longevity in anything that's service based. So we've learned that, having a lot of money tied up in inventory and things like that sometimes isn't the best.
Yeah.
Listings fall down, pricing comes down.
Well, Amazon is Amazon. At the end of the day, it's a huge risk, and that's what we're here for. I mean, Amazon as an Amazon seller, there's a lot of risk involved, but there's a lot of money to be made if you do it correctly. There's also a lot of money to be lost if you make
A bad decision.
bad mistakes.
Yep.
Yeah. So you got to know how to do it in the right way, and it's a delicate business because at the end of the day, you are in the hands of Amazon, right? So you got to do things their way and do it correctly, and always have traceability of the goods where you're buying from, making sure they are legitimate, they are not stolen. All the checklists that you have to have before you buy the goods, and then even if you do everything right in that sense, then there's market conditions that could change. There's liquidations that could happen and you don't know about them. There is Amazon going into a listing that they've never sold before.
Yeah.
IP complaints. There's a lot of things that at the end of the day are part of a business, and in the logistics business you have other challenges that we don't have. But then, well, some you prefer to stay on the service side.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And then that's also why we're going in the direction of private label on the Amazon side, with our accounts. There's a little bit more security. You're able to police your listings. You're able to kick sellers off.
Yeah.
You're able to control the price. So that's more of the direction we're going. So for anybody that's concerned or worried, they have nothing to worry about as far as us seeing their product and then purchasing it or going behind their backs. That's something that we don't ever do. We're always for the customer and always trying to just help them. And then we stay in our lane. The direction we're going is service based, and private label. So
Awesome. Brian, talk to me a little bit more about the cross-docking and making partnerships across the United States to be able to do the same service you were doing in Miami. I know the first time we met in person, it was actually in an elevator in Jersey.
Yes.
We were at AMC United,
Mhm.
and it's like, oh, you're Ricardo. Oh, you're C Group. Yeah. And then we started talking, and you were there actually meeting with some people from New York to be able to do the same service.
Yeah.
What's the process, and when could we expect to have this?
The other
Available.
spots. So, what I have experienced and learned even in New Jersey. In New Jersey, there's actually like 6 companies out there that do the concept like what we do with the Amazon. The market, I guess, out there is really big.
It's huge.
Thank
You,
God
you
down
got
here.
all the Jewish sellers are in New York. They're
Yes.
they are the kings of Amazon.
Yes, yes, they are out there, and so I get the guy out there in Jersey. They call it HWP Trucking. It's the same concept of what I do. His prices might be a little bit more money, and the system might not be to where our as fluid as ours is. But he has a good customer base. He ships over to 500 customers. He has about 10 box trucks on his fleet, a couple of day cabs.
Okay.
He's been in the game maybe about 4 years. So through a mutual customer of mine, just told me that that's a lot of customers from down here. They also have warehouses out there.
Yeah.
A lot of the Jewish community down here,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
have warehouses out there. So he lined me up with a meeting, and it turns out, a lot of the people that are like-minded and are in this, they are in the transportation side are happy because they don't know who to speak to that just deals with Amazon. So the connection is good. The conversations are fluid. It now just comes to like working out the right price and the structure, because the person's character on the other end might be different. Knowing how to navigate some companies.
Well, partnerships are partnerships.
Yes.
It's not always easy. Yeah, yeah.
So currently we have access to ship goods through third-party partners with the same concept in New Jersey, New York, um, Atlanta, and California.
So this is something you're already doing.
Yes, we are already doing it.
You're doing beta testing. You're little by little
Yes.
expanding it.
Yes, since we're not we're doing it for select customers because we also analyzing it, see how it goes working with this partner out there. But so far it's going pretty good and it's running pretty smooth. I wish at some point we could probably have our own little hubs in each one of those spots.
Yeah.
But it's also good to have partners and other minds that are in the industry to where you could bounce ideas off, just like an Amazon
Also
seller.
from a business perspective, it's always better to have a variable cost than to have a fixed expense
Yes.
in a certain city that you don't know if the volume is going to be there. Miami is Miami. I don't know how many sellers are in Miami, but it's one of the biggest hubs. So you're always going to have a client pool that's large enough to be able to service.
Hmm.
Atlanta, it's not a port. It's still a very big city and it has a lot of logistics involved. But there's places where you don't necessarily want to tie down a
Yeah.
fixed contract that you can't get out of when you need to.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then it requires manpower to
Yeah, of
get out.
course.
It require one of us to go out there for a duration of period, find, build a team. And it requires a lot of time.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So very interesting the way you're going about it. What is C Group planning on doing in the next 5 years? Are you thinking Amazon only? Is it going in different directions? Where are you headed?
Amazon's always going to be our bread and butter because that's what we know. Of course, we'll like to get into bigger companies that they ship to Amazon a lot, but they also have a lot of inbound freight. So a lot of things on the trucking side of the business is, driver could go up to Amazon, but we still got to find that driver
To go
a
down.
load to come back down. He can't come back down empty.
Yeah.
It's a tricky process unless you find a contact that has a consistent line. We're fortunate for our trucks. We got connected with a company called Wacko, and they pump out about 20 loads from Pineville, North Carolina, which is about 15 minutes south of CLT2. And the delivery is about 10 minutes south from here.
Wow.
So it
So
works
you
perfect.
got the truck going up and the truck going down, which actually thinking about it, I remember when we did our first Amazon freight shipment.
Mhm.
That was, I don't know when exactly, I think 2022. I checked the rates from Miami to North Carolina, and at that time, I don't know how much it is now, it was, I think, $800.
Mhm.
And then I checked the same rate, but with the different zip codes, swapped it, so North Carolina to Miami, and that was $4,500.
Yep.
Same route, same time, same everything, but there's a lot of trucks going down to Miami. There's not enough trucks going up to the north, and that's also very interesting.
Yes. So leaving the state of Florida is cheaper than anything coming inbound. Um, so that's why they also kind of pay so much to come down here because leaving, you're going to get, it's hard to find and it's hard to get any
Yeah,
loads
yeah.
with that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, especially that. I mean, you guys found the solution not only for Amazon sellers, but also for trucks that need to leave and get paid.
Yes.
So
We're fortunate. That was just right call, right person answered the phone.
that's amazing.
And thank
What-
God they had enough loads.
Yeah. What tips could you give anyone starting out a business from scratch? Because Amazon it's a business at the end of the day. Logistics is a business. What lessons have you learned over time that you could say, I wish I knew this sooner?
Just a lot of people on Instagram and on social media, they show as Amazon's a walk in the park, go to the store, scan, boom, life is beautiful. Don't believe everything you see. Prepare, do your due diligence, and you got to give it your all. A lot of people think, oh, I could do Amazon on the side, and you just getting into it, but you have something else that's occupying your time. You're not going to be able to conquer that because Amazon requires your full attention.
Yeah. I mean, it's a business that just absorbs you 100%, and it has the volume to absorb you
Yes.
100%. If you fully go into it, it's crazy, but it also has a lot of headaches involved that are not necessarily talked about in social media. And that's really what I like about the podcast, because in long format, you could actually dive deeper into a little bit more of the reality of the business. And that's why we started talking about Entre Cajas. That's how it started. At the beginning, it was Ricardo Alamo and I. We were talking about he wanted to get started on Amazon, and I sat down with him in a conference table, which is where we were in the other house, and I told him, look, this is the business. We don't make 40% every time we invest our money. On average, our EBITDA is 5-6%, and those are great numbers for Amazon sellers in wholesale. You're not gonna see an Amazon seller making 20% of their money from it. Like if you're selling $1 million, you're not making 200,000.
Yeah.
That's just BS. It's not the way it works. You have overheads, you have expenses, you have things that don't go right. There's a lot of things. But what I also say is Amazon is a huge blessing to many, because I don't know any other business that you could start with as little money as possible if you're willing to commit the time to grow the business. Because at the end of the day, you need to have patience and know that you're not going to buy a Lamborghini the next month, and maybe not in 10 years. That's just a reality of it. But you can scale and you can grow in different directions. It's not easy. It's not easy. You got to be committed.
Yes, as long as they committed, they should have good. But it's not a walk in the park. It's
No, no,
little
no.
wars. But if you're committed and you do your due diligence, you're successful.
And committed, and not only that, but not being scared to make mistakes. I think anybody that's been in the Amazon game or has been selling on Amazon, I think where they've gotten the most value and where they've learned the most is from some of the mistakes that they've made. Obviously, you don't want to make big, costly mistakes, but those tend to be the biggest learning experiences, where we've kind of, from hitting these walls and these road bumps, been able to then grow a lot faster and a lot quicker after the fact.
Of course. Chris, from a leadership perspective, because you being the COO at C Group, you've got people that you also have to manage. You have logistics, you have truckers that you talk to on a day-to-day basis. What are some things that have helped you become a leader since you got started? Because that's what you are right now. Yeah.
I would say thanks to Brian and his brothers, I've gotten a lot of experience to where the knowledge, I feel confident with it. So being able to communicate that knowledge and teach people and build people has came fairly easy to me, having all these years of experience working with them. And the next thing is, I like to create a community with my team of positivity. Challenges that come our way, those are opportunities, not something to look at in a negative way. Changes in the industry, the idea is to maintain, that positive attitude.
Yeah.
So I'm always there as far as support for our guys and our team, and constantly instilling that type of values and morals in our kind of our work environment. So
Yeah, for sure. And As a service-based business, obviously, I would assume biggest challenges are managing the clientele, the customer service. That's something that Amazon does not really require. Amazon, the customer service is pretty much non-existent. I mean, your biggest headache is Amazon, not the customer service or the logistical side of it. I think there's a lot of customers that are extremely happy, but there's also a few that have had sour or bad experiences in the process. It's logistics, it happens. I mean, you could have I don't know. Recently, I talked to a friend. I think he had a shipment picked up in Orlando. It was hazmat, and it got delayed because there's not enough trucks, but not enough pallets to ship a full truckload. How do you manage the customer service of things? Because that's also not easy.
So yes, like every business, there is, not everyone's always going to be happy, and not everything's going to go as planned.
Yeah.
What I have learned is a customer's, and it's usually majority of the customers, they expect you to pick up this pallet and shoot it 700 miles up like that. And God forbid it doesn't go up that fast. They can't understand or comprehend why. And if you've been in the business long enough of shipping in general, anything, you should already anticipate at some point there could be a situation on this order or that order. But it's the overall. If you do 10 orders with us, or if that guy did 10 orders with us, it was probably one hiccup of maybe a delay of the shipment. Now, if that customer, doesn't makes it a big deal to not have an open line of communication, as in the sense of understanding, we could only do what we could do. We do cater to our customers, but at the same time, if a customer that ships a lot with us and an incident happens once in a blue moon, can understand or make it a really big deal.
Yeah, yeah.
And we can't. The customer's not a right customer for us, to be honest.
It's essentially what I've been going through the entire podcast. Logistics is not an easy business. Everything that could go wrong will eventually go wrong. Not having enough pallets to pick up at a certain location eventually is going to happen. Not every time it's going to be as easy as it was before. And my experience overall, I'm a very happy client, and I think most of the people I've referred and most people I talk to that use you guys are extremely happy clients as well, just because of the convenience and how easy it is to work with. But eventually, it's just the nature of the game, right? It's logistics. So
there is good times, and there is sometimes that it happens. I had a customer that he's a big volume customer, and an order didn't go as planned, and we were just not seeing eye to eye, and we didn't argue with each other. We're just not a good fit for each other.
Yeah.
Fast forward 6 months later, and he's giving me all his business now.
It's not easy to manage the logistics.
And that's something that, there's a lot of customers that the first time they've ever sent a pallet was with us. So they're used to the type of service they get from us. You're able to call when you have your pickup scheduled, speak to somebody, get a constant update as far as ETA, arrival times. Even once we've picked up the pallet, that communication, that line of communication is always there for our customers. Where a lot of them, they get used to that. And they think that that's the standard.
It's not.
Like it
And
doesn't
it's
change.
not.
It's not. Work with Amazon Partner Carrier, and you'll see.
Partnered carrier, third-party carriers, you'll notice they don't call you and tell you if they're going to show up. You'll book the order and then cross your fingers and hope that they show up. If they don't, they're not going to call you and let you know, hey, I can't make it today, I'm going to come tomorrow. That doesn't exist in the industry. Once your stuff is, on those third-party carrier trucks and it's on the way, it's even more of a headache to then get, updates on where your shipment's at, when it's going to be delivered. You're speaking to people at a call center of thousands and thousands of people that are just reading a script, when they're talking to you. So you don't get a lot of that. Something that separates us is having that team that whenever there is an issue, you've got 5 to 6 guys that are tackling that issue head on, trying to resolve it for you, updating you.
It's a family business at the end of the day too, right? I mean, I've seen the facility. I've visited you guys. It's family. You go walk in there. It's family. You feel it in the environment, and you're there for the customers. So one of the key things to understand is things are gonna go wrong, but it's always the attitude you guys take towards the issue, and we've always had a good experience with that attitude, and just overall just trying to resolve it. You're in the business of logistics, and it's gonna be hard at times, and you got to solve it, and you do. So that's awesome.
And I've noticed too with some customers where we have had situations, and the customer is open and appreciates the open communication, us not dodging the calls. At the end, when it gets handled, it makes you and that customer's relationship even that much more stronger because you guys kind of went through something together.
Yeah, of
You
course.
guys went through it together, not him arguing with the
Correct.
other side.
Correct.
And a lot of my relationships have gotten more stronger with the character during times of scenarios like that.
One of the things with our shipments also to Amazon is we have a lot of high ticket items. That's what we manage, right? And previously with Amazon Freight, we were shipping full truckloads. We had the Atlanta experience that got us a bit scared because shit. I mean, losing 250K that easy, and Amazon only covers up to 100K in insurance. We tried negotiating with them to get it higher. We only got 150, but typically our trucks are worth a lot more. Do you guys also offer insurance to your clientele, and how does that work? And is it flexible? Could you take it higher or lower depending on the shipment if we communicated direct, or how does it work?
So the average in the market is 100,000.
Yeah.
Amazon Freight, like you said, you probably got bumped to 150, depending on the customer, maybe 200. We don't offer additional, but if a customer was to request, it will probably be like an added fee because we have our own insurance as well. And those will be on a case-by-case basis if a customer
I
wants
guess
that.
it's just
we can
easier
get a
to split
price.
the shipments, right? Just split the
Yeah.
risk, split the shipments. Don't ship 250K in a truck, and just get it out there. It's less risk. It's easier for everyone. No extra money.
And sometimes if there's a problem with that one, the next truck goes, your product still gets received in,
Exactly.
and it gives time to fix whatever problem that customer has. But in the future, I guess we could offer an added insurance for costs.
Could be
We could
interesting.
look into.
Yeah, it could be
Yeah,
interesting.
and then what we do also as far as that, and whether it's insurance or just dealing with units not being fully received from things that we've transported, we're constantly there with the customer, working on the case, providing PODs, BOLs, whatever like supporting documents are needed for them to be able to get their reimbursement from Amazon. So that we currently do offer as far as support.
And just to close in this topic, if a customer is just starting out and they want to ship a pallet, it's that easy. I just call you and you pick up that one pallet. I don't have to be a big guy to ship one pallet.
No, definitely
Correct.
not.
You could be, like I said, we pick up from storage units, garage. Pretty much, you reach out to the onboarding specialist. We send, she sends an initial intake information, name, address, general information, and then we attach a 2-minute customer portal video, show you how user friendly it is. We usually advise the customer to review that first, and then following that, if they have any further questions on how to navigate it, then we jump on a call with them. But it's really 1, 2, 3.
And you don't only do Amazon. I just saw a video of you guys doing a white glove service yesterday. You got your hands dirty.
Yes. We were at a construction site, and we took on this project from a mutual customer from California. The container was received out there, then they shipped it down to us. And there's big old crates going to this house, and it was a great experience. But yep, so we do dabble time to time into other things just to explore if this is the right fit for us. Is this something we want to continue pursuing, or do we want to continue focusing on the main, being in Amazon shipping?
And I think those scenarios sometimes I enjoy them, to be honest, because it's something new from the regular.
It keeps it interesting.
It keeps things interesting, and you get to see the opportunity there. So like the scenario we were talking about of the construction site, it's crazy to see how much freight is just moved to construction sites as far as flatbeds with, cement, with wood, with furniture, all types of things. So, I mean, it's crazy the opportunity that's out there in the transportation world.
100%. I mean, America moves on the road and the highway. It's built for trucking. It's essentially the entire American economy is built on the trucking industry. If trucks are off, geez, I could not imagine what would happen. There's no trains in this thing.
During COVID, trucks were recognized and now being like really appreciated.
Yeah.
Because they were the only ones on the roads grabbing those truckloads and bringing them from point A to point B and supplying to the, America during that time.
That's awesome. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Chris, for being here. If you could have one last advice for anyone that's starting out, not sure. Anything?
I would say go for it. There's a lot of opportunity when it comes to Amazon, when it comes to e-commerce. Nowadays, the retail stores and things like that are becoming a thing of the past. Advice would be, give it a shot, explore it. There's a lot of opportunity. And yeah, man, I would say a lot of success in what's e-commerce. So.
¿Hablan español en C-Group?
Sí, seguramente.
O sea, no es solo inglés.
No, solo inglés no. La mayoría del equipo habla español. Los dueños son los únicos, que es Brian y los hermanos, que no hablan español. Pero la mayoría del equipo sí.
Súper, excelente.
Yes.
Thank
and
you.
Advice I'll give, if it's a new person, they could get an educator, such as your courses.
Thank you.
Someone to help guide at least their beginning steps, to give them a great understanding of it, walk them through their first order, their first purchase, is also, I think,
It
great.
just makes it easier, right? I mean, for us, it took us 3 years to understand there was a repricer. It took us 7 years to understand we could do full truckloads. It took us 4 years to send our first pallet. Everything was shipped via boxes.
Yeah.
Like when I come to think about it, it's like, holy shit, it took us that long. There's no way. If I could have skipped all that time, I can't imagine where we would be at right now. But I mean, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, for
No,
sure.
definitely recommend it.
Thank you guys for taking your time on a weekday, Friday, typically a busy day. So I appreciate it. Thank you for being here, and I hope you guys enjoy the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
¿Quieres convertirte en tu propio jefe? Ah, esperabas que llegara con mi Lamborghini, ¿no? Este es mi Lamborghini. Vamos a hacer tu negocio exitoso en Amazon. Soy Ricardo Domínguez y llevo más de 8 años construyendo mi negocio en Amazon, actualmente vendiendo más de $2 millones mensuales. Mis estudiantes están viendo resultados reales y tú también puedes lograrlo. Con mi curso Ricardo CEO te enseñaré paso a paso cómo lanzar y crecer tu negocio en Amazon. Hablaremos de cómo establecer tu cuenta, cómo encontrar proveedores confiables, cómo gestionar tu inventario y muchísimo más. Todo en base a mi propia experiencia y estrategias comprobadas. Así que si estás listo para dar el salto y empezar tu negocio exitoso en Amazon, haz clic en el enlace y comienza hoy mismo.